Welcome to the PMI podcast. I'm your host, Gemma Penkethman, and today I'm joined by Emma Norton-Miller, who is a clinical services manager at Bupa. Emma, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. Very
No, a
exciting.
pleasure, an absolute pleasure. Do you want to kick us off by telling us a little bit about your role?
Certainly, yeah. As Gemma's kindly introduced me, I am a clinical services manager for Bupa UK Insurance. So I manage two teams actually, but teams of clinicians, nurses that cover oncology. So as the service manager, obviously my role is to really engage those staff and actually, are we doing what's right for the customer all of the time? And that's kind of my role, to develop services, change with the times, move alongside, really engage the staff and completely review our services. So from a staff role perspective, I'm supporting everyone from the frontline advisor team. So as soon as that phone call comes in, right through to the clinicians, to the members, to the providers, my role is to make sure that journey is seamless as possible for that customer. So we provide it via telephone, via video calls if needed. We do administrative work. A lot of what we do is manage what customers have accessibility to, and make sure that everything's eligible for them. And if it is eligible, is it the right choice for them? So we're always being an advocate for that customer. So when there's a clinical input, we assess it, and then we can look that the front lines are supported, the customer's supported, and make sure that everything's as seamless as possible. So I hope that isn't too jargon for you, but that's basically
No,
my role as an overview. Yeah,
that's perfect. So in your role, Emma, you've got essentially two teams. You've got the mental health team, and then you've got
I
the
have. Yeah,
oncology team, yeah?
yeah, I do.
And the oncology team is made up of lots of amazing cancer nurses that really support the members through the journey when they're making a claim for cancer. Is that right?
That is completely right. Yeah,
Yeah. So you yourself, you used to be one of those cancer nurses,
I
didn't you?
did. I still like to think of as one. Yeah.
It never leaves you, does it?
No, it doesn't.
What was your favorite thing about that role when you were in it?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many things, but I think if you was to pinpoint me on one, I would say it's just being there for someone in a really challenging moment and providing just genuine support. It's just so meaningful. So being able to understand them, work together with them, go through the highs and lows with them, it's just such a powerful skill to have. It's not always about throwing something at them and saying this, waving a magic wand and saying this will fix it, because sometimes things don't fix it. But
Yeah,
being able to be there for them and just understand it and work with them, oh, it's priceless. Yeah,
I
that's
bet.
definitely the favourite part for that role for me, for sure. Yeah,
No, absolutely. I can't even begin to imagine how valuable that is for somebody when they're in that position of going
yeah.
through a cancer climb. So, tell me a bit about the cancer nurses, the support that they provide for the members and the families of the members as well, throughout that journey of claiming.
Oh gosh, I mean, we like to start as early as possible. So as soon
Mm,
as we can introduce ourselves to the customer, the member, we absolutely will do. And it is going back to what I've kind of just said there. It's about being there for them when they're going through a cancer journey, and you get your diagnosis, and you've got a consultant, and you've got specialists around you, and it is kind of an information overload at
mm,
a time when you're really not taking that information in. All you've
yeah,
heard is that word, cancer.
yeah,
And then it's right now what? And people suddenly become really lost. Some people start the grieving process straight away because they think, automatically assume it's going to be a bad ending, and it's not necessarily that ending. Um, and what we have to remember is that every member that we speak to has a family as well that are also going through it. So, they come as a package. And it's about acknowledging everyone in that journey and every step of the way. What is it today that's bothering you? What is it today we can help you with? Because tomorrow it might be different. So let's deal with today, and what can we help you with today? So a lot of what we have is the listening, the communication, empathy skills to really understand And if we don't know, is it something we can find out, or is it something we can signpost to somewhere that might actually be the best person or place for them, etc. We might be an advocate for them. We can be a voice for them. So there's lots of different ways of supporting them and the families. But what it boils down to is, have we listened to them? Tell me what it is today. Let us help you with that today. And then I tell you what we'll do. We'll phone you tomorrow and see what happens tomorrow. So we're very much guided by them. You might not speak to them for a period of time because they might be having treatment. Things are very busy and chaotic. But what we always reassure them is we're on the other end of the phone, the other end of an email. Let us know. We can give you a call. What we can provide them with is time that they don't get appointments. I don't know if you've ever been to hospital appointments. They're quite in out, time
Yeah.
constraints. And what I describe us as it is we're that in between bit where we haven't got a time constraint. So actually,
Oh.
you just want to sit and shout at us, be angry at us. I don't know, whatever works, we're there for you. And I think there's not a particular skill or something I can offer. I think one that springs to mind for me, and it's not the best ending because it is an end of life one really, but it was just a beautiful. We had an elderly couple who I'm going to call him Frank. He wasn't Frank, but I'm going to call him that for today. And he rang very distressed, asking if Bupa could help because his wife, they thought had been diagnosed with cancer, but weren't quite sure. And he was really frightened because he wasn't sure whether he should or shouldn't believe it. Or anyway,
Oh.
we managed to get him a second opinion for his wife. Now these were 85 and 86, this couple.
Wow.
So I fell in love with them straight away.
Yeah.
Um, so we managed to get her a second opinion, and she went to see a Bupa specialist, got that, who confirmed that unfortunately it was a cancer, but actually it was quite far down the line. Now, his wife was very prepared for that. And she said, that's fine. I actually don't want any treatment. I'm quite happy. I never would have noticed it unless there's one symptom, but they've sorted the symptom. And actually, I'm okay with that. I don't want to have treatment as well. But husband was very distressed, kept ringing me asking if he could wave a magic wand to not let this happen. And,
Oh, bless him.
it was so heartwarming. It was around Christmas time because he asked me. It was it was at the end of November, and he said, "What if she doesn't see Christmas?" So I said, "Well, why don't you put your Christmas tree up now? Why don't you just have a
Yeah.
Christmas now and have?" So they did, and they had put it all up, and they did it together, which was lovely. And I sent them what we call a random act of kindness. So that's something we can offer to Bupa customers as a just to let you know we're thinking about you.
Okay.
So I sent them an afternoon tea in the post. So
Oh, that's
it
lovely.
was tea bags, biscuits, just a little. And I said, please have a cup of tea and enjoy the moment on me. And I think, enjoy this precious time. Well, the husband said it was better than any medicine that anyone could have provided them because he said it was just what we needed. Now, they did give her a time frame of 3 weeks, to be fair. However, she didn't actually pass away till the end of January. So they
Wow.
actually got quite a bit of time. And even though the ending isn't the best ending, it was actually their choice all the way through. It was
Yeah.
like exactly how they wanted it. It was exactly for me. Could I have done any more? No. Was it perfect for them? Yes. And I think that's the bit of just giving them time, providing that little bit of acknowledgement of we're here for you was just, he was forever grateful. Yeah, absolutely forever grateful. He said memories that he will treasure forever. So yeah, really, really nice.
That is absolutely beautiful. It really is. And that just shows that, even when somebody is nearing the end of their life, there are still things that you can do to make that time
Absolutely.
precious
Yeah.
for them. And when you
Yeah.
mentioned there the random acts of kindness, is that something that the nurses do like quite frequently then at Bupa?
Um, I suppose it depends what your class is frequently. Yeah, I think it's we pick the right moment. We
Yeah,
don't just
yeah.
send things for the sake of sending it. We get many families with children. We might send them a cinema ticket. You and your family go to the
Oh,
cinema and have so It depends on the moment, yeah, and it's the
Yeah,
right time, to make it meaningful, to let them know that, yeah, we've got you, that kind of. A lot of them write, we advise to take to appointments, for example, a notepad and write things down, because you'll
yeah.
come out of your appointment, you'll forget what they've been said. Oh gosh, there's too much stuff going on. I always say, take a notepad, write it down, write the answers down, ask the consultant to stop for a moment while you write it down. I said, because that's your appointment. And then when you come back, if you want to phone me, and then read it back to me, and we can
Oh,
go over some of those
amazing.
questions again. So I will send them off, and quite often a notepad and pen as a random act of kindness to kind of
Oh,
say, here you go. This is me enabling you to be able to do something for you. For the disease takes a lot away from these people. So let's
yeah.
give them some control back, which is a really nice thing. Yeah.
And I imagine that, when people are at appointments, that they can be in shock as well. And when you're in
Oh,
shock, you
yeah.
just don't take on any information, do
No.
you? You kind of zone out almost.
Yeah. Yeah, you
And
do.
then afterwards, it might be a day or a week later, and they think, oh, why didn't I ask that? And I suppose
Yeah.
that's where your team comes in, because they can ask you.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll go,
Oh,
"What? How did you hear it from them? What did they say?" And sometimes when you ask them that, they go, "Oh, maybe I heard it wrong then." And you go, "Well, might be, but tell me what was said, and let's think about it. Let's discuss it. Let's." So it's working with them to acknowledge that they're never wrong. It's just
yeah.
where they're at that time, and we just work with them on that. Yeah, it's
Is
lovely.
there any one worry that people have the most, or is it all just varied, or is it going back to what you were saying? People think of the final element of it, and am I going to die?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a natural thing for people to think that right off, because,
Mm,
even in my years in cancer nursing, we're probably talking, oh, I don't say it out loud, 20 odd years.
wow.
Um, the the advances in it now have really, really changed, and life expectancy is huge. The developments in
Yeah,
cancer is just, and unfortunately, you only ever really hear a lot of the bad stuff, don't you? And the worst case scenarios.
you do, yeah.
We probably don't promote enough around all the good that stories that there are. There are a lot of stories, but I think the main concern, if I had to pinpoint one, would be the anxiety and worry. Really, it's the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
What next? What next? What does this mean? And it's that constant, it's a whole new world to people. So they get
Mm,
that diagnosis, and people are already thinking 12 months ahead. And quite often I'll say to them, hang on, your consultant doesn't even know what's happening next. So why
yeah,
are you
cool.
thinking 12 months down the line? Because it's very much like a jigsaw puzzle. They have to go for scans, and then they have to have the bloods, and then they have to put it all together. And if me and you, Gemma, had the same cancer diagnosis, we'd probably be treated differently. So
Absolutely.
one
Yeah,
size doesn't fit all, and they'll say, oh, well, my friend had this, and I know someone that, yeah, but you're not them. So what we
yeah,
have to do is get your picture built, and then that consultant will base it on what's happening with you right now. So don't judge it on anyone else, because your pathway is going to be completely different. So it's really bringing them back to the here and now all the time, because the more they fear about the unknown and what's ahead, the more uncertainties they're going to have, because no one's going to have those answers. No one knows what's going to happen next. So it's really trying to support them and going, right, okay, so is that us till 5 o'clock today? And we're going to switch off then till your next appointment on Friday. Brilliant. Okay. So, and it's really giving them, and we can joke about it. We can give them things to do, objectives to, things to take the mind off it, things like that. But I think that that concern runs right throughout the journey. It's that unknown. What's
yeah,
next? What's next? Yeah. What's going to happen? Yeah. And even when people get, you're in remission, you're cancer free, people still worry.
of
But what
course.
if?
Yeah,
So it doesn't stop from our perspective of signposting, enabling them, making sure they can get some kind of, will life ever be normal again? Can it be normal after a cancer diagnosis? Probably not to the, well, you'll never be the person you were before. You'll always have it at the back of your mind. But actually, can we get them back to work? Can we get them back to being a mum? That kind of,
yeah,
not letting the cancer rule their life. Let them, just let them. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, we're in an age where you've got AI and you've got Google for everything.
yeah.
And I think,
Oh, my biggest enemy.
yeah, I bet it is. Because you can imagine people just going to Google for the answers
Yeah,
and coming up with worst case scenarios.
yeah.
And what I love about your team and the work you do is that you can be the Google for them, but in a lot more of an accurate way.
Yeah, I mean, quite often I go, well, I've been on Google. I go, oh, I said, you know
Oh,
what? Google used to sit next to me at nursing college. And they go silent. I go, no, correct. That person wasn't at nursing college with me. That's, let me tell you from experience. So,
that's brilliant.
sometimes it is making jokes about, and you're never going to stop anyone in a digital world from doing that. But it's always going back to, I understand that. And if you're going to look at that, then you have to be prepared for some of the things you may see on there. But please
Yeah.
let me tell you about all the other things that you don't see, that kind of.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's coming back to what you were saying about how if you and I both got diagnosed with the same cancer, the same stage, we could be treated completely
Yeah.
differently. I
Yeah.
mean, we recently looked at Bupa's genomic products that they've launched with the medication testing and things like that. And we learned that two people can have different medications respond better for their body.
Yeah.
So you might be told that a certain type of chemotherapy is better for your body, and I
Yeah.
might be told that that same chemotherapy doesn't work for my body at all because
Yeah.
our genetics are completely different. And so when people are going to Google or they're trying to see, well, what happened to this other person who's had the same cancer as me, it's not going to be the
No.
accurate information, is it? Because we're all different and we all have different situations. So I think it's really
Yeah.
great that they can come to you with what they've been told from their specialists, and you can kind of put that in perspective for them and help them to understand it and
Yeah.
know that their journey might not look exactly how someone else's journey looked.
Correct. It's making it normal. Quite
Yeah,
often I ring and I say, well, I'm ringing you at 11 today. Get yourself a cup of tea because we can have a
yeah,
brew and a chat. So you're already making it just that relaxed and normal. It's
yeah,
okay if we cry on the phone. It's okay if we do a video call and, someone say, oh, I've just not even had a shower today. I'm
yeah.
not, it's not smell-o-vision. Don't worry. We can, we can have lots of, and they just feel if you want to come on with your pajamas on, your hair not brushed. Do I care? No. This is about you. So it's always bringing it back to the normal for them to make sure to let them know it's okay. It's absolutely okay.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the elderly couple earlier, and that was just beautiful. Honestly, that was
Oh, he's
absolutely
so cute.
beautiful. But everyone I speak to in the healthcare industry, whether that's NHS, whether that's private healthcare, everyone's got these kind of stories that stick with them for good reason. Are there any more that you might want to share with us?
Oh, I mean, the podcast can only go on for an hour, surely. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just such a privilege for there's quite a lot stick in your mind for so many different reasons, and it's just so nice because they all have an impact, which for me is why we still do the job. Because if they're not having an impact, then I'm in the wrong job.
Yeah.
It's putting them first. But there is there is one lady actually with a breast cancer. She was in late 30s. She had two children, and a really unusual case, really, because she'd been having health checkups, etc. Nothing ever really came of them. And then one day she got symptoms from a left breast that were quite unusual. She'd been to the GP. GP wasn't too sure what to think of it, really. So she'd rang
Mhm.
Bupa and she said, "I've got these symptoms. I'm not quite sure. Blah blah. I'd like to see a breast specialist." Anyway, all that was sorted. She went to see a breast specialist. She'd been for scans. Nothing shown on the scan.
Right.
3 weeks later, she went back, fortunately, to the consultant who she'd kept in touch with and said, actually, these symptoms have got a bit worse. And he said, oh, that's really, really unusual. So I brought her straight back in. Anyway, they did a few injections into the breast and biopsies to find out was there anything behind it. They couldn't see anything on the scan, but actually did come back as a breast cancer. And what was really unusual is with all the scans, he'd never shown on the scans,
Wow.
which was the most bizarre thing. And I'd never, ever heard of it. Now, apparently, it's really rare. There is a name for it. And please don't get me to quote it on this call because I can't remember. Um, So of course, this really raised her anxiety. Well, what if it's everywhere else? What if it's this? What if they
Mm,
can't see it anywhere? What am I going to do? So I thought I was with this woman for probably, I bet we're on nearly a year and a half. I was supporting
wow.
this woman. She was a teacher. She had to go into school. She'd just got a role as a deputy head and was very, I've got to get this right. She was putting pressure herself from all over to be a
Mm,
parent, to be as good as she could at school, and actually get through this journey where she might lose a hair. She was going to have a breast removed, etc. She then had the dilemma of, does she have the other breast removed? Because if they couldn't see it on the scan, how does she know it's not in the other breast,
yeah, yeah.
etc.? So we had lots of um, conversations, and her anxiety was another level. So I'd got her some
Mm,
therapy support. I'd got her linked into the local. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Maggie's Centre. Maggie's
no.
centres are linked to a lot of hospitals now. They used to be few and far between, but they're kind of everywhere now. But Maggie's are a centre that are free. They're a charity based.
Okay.
A lot of big hospitals have them. Um, and anyone can walk in, between you, the family, anyone. They give you anything from financial to complementary therapies to guidance for your children, how to get back to work. They're just an all round holistic service, but face to face. So when you're at your hospital and you get in some of these conversations, I used to say to her, drop into the Maggies and meet someone there and see if you can get a bit of a key worker there for you.
Mm.
So she used to go to Maggie's first before her appointments. She used to have some aromatherapy. They used to give her an hour's relaxation.
Oh, wow.
She'd then go to her appointment. She felt a bit more relaxed by that point. She'd take a notepad and pen, which I sent her as a kindness. She'd write everything down. Then she'd ring me. And our calls must have been easily an hour. I need to go through it
Gosh.
again. I need to go through it again. I just need her outlook was always going to be, I'm never going to get through this. It's not going to happen.
Mm, so very
She
anxious. Very
Yeah, she
anxious.
lost her role as deputy head, which
Oh,
added to, because of her sickness and having time off and not being
oh,
able to dedicate. So she felt her world was falling apart, really.
yeah.
However, that year and a half, she did have a double mastectomy. She did get through it. She's had lots of scans. She got married to a fiance. Her children have done really well, and now she's got a head teacher post at
Oh,
another school. But she's really, really excelled herself, and
wow.
it's really interesting, her mindset. And we did lots of reflection of, this is where you were, this is where you are. Do you think you've done well? Do you think this has been? And she's now a bit of an advocate for other breast cancer women, talking about
Oh, that's
um,
amazing.
in her local area. One of her friends, believe it or not, has just got a job at Bupa on the back of the work Bupa had done for her. She said, go and work for Bupa,
Wow.
they're brilliant. Um, but it was I really felt like I'd been part of that journey with her. I
Yeah.
felt her anxiety almost, this fear of, what next? What am I going to do? I've got all these life decisions to make. And it kind of shows really that they don't just cut, she came to us, should I have a mastectomy? And it turned into supporting her whole life right down that pathway
Yeah, and
to keep
career
her on that
choices and everything.
career choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
who knew? But everything, but it was just enabling her to make some of those decisions.
Yeah.
And what's the right and wrong decision in healthcare? Well, that's really difficult for me on the other end of a phone. I don't have
Mm,
everything in front of me to be able to, but it was enabling her to ask the right questions, to be guided to the right things, to be able to make that decision herself, which was, it was really, really lovely. And again, she was one of the ones actually I sent a big cinema package to, for her and
oh,
her children, to say, look, go and have a day off, go to the cinema, have some time.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was lovely. It was just, yes, she stuck with me because I was with her a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the impact and the difference in her from beginning to end, it was just, money couldn't buy that. It was brilliant. It was
Yeah.
lovely to see. Yeah.
That's
She still sends me
fantastic.
the odd email from time
Does
to time to
she?
let me know how she's getting on. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And that was about 4 years ago.
oh wow.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
you've used the word enabling quite a lot throughout
Yeah.
this conversation. You enable people to make good choices, you enable them to to
Yeah.
do things. But I actually think the better word is empowering them, because
Yeah.
you're providing them with so much power to make those decisions and have that strength. And in that scenario, this person's come to you with severe anxiety, possibly catastrophizing the situation that she's in, and understandably so. But actually, she's come out of the other side empowered and stronger and in an amazing position where her whole life is now really successful, and more so than it was prior to the cancer.
Yeah, she wants to take on the world now.
I
What she
bet she
she
does, yeah.
often says, if anything, you know, hopefully it doesn't, touch wood, ever was to happen again, she'd handle it completely different. And
Yeah,
she'd
I
know how
bet.
to do that, and can support others going through it now, because now she has that toolkit to be able to um, take it to the next level almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really nice. Yeah.
And that's incredible because, some people don't have that from the beginning. Some people just crumble and panic, and
And some
and they're
people have no one around them.
yeah, yeah, no support in place.
Yeah.
And so having your team and the cancer nurses is, it's invaluable. It really is. And I just think what an amazing job your team does. And I hope they're all so proud of themselves for what they do on a day-to-day basis.
They
It's
should be. Yeah,
Yeah,
should be.
it must
Well,
be
thank you.
hard.
It's very kind of you to say. Thank you.
No, no, I mean it's true, isn't it? It must be hard for you at times because it's an emotional journey that you're going on with those patients when they're going through it as well. But what you
Yeah,
do,
we have lots of debriefs as a team and
yeah,
supervision to support each other and make sure, we all have bad days. We all have calls where we put them down and we can have a cry ourselves, because
yeah,
it's
of
it's a
course.
lot. But would we change it? No. No,
No,
definitely not.
absolutely not,
No.
especially when you've got stories like this where it's truly changed somebody's life, and that is absolutely amazing. It really is.
Thank you.
So, Emma, it's been a pleasure. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me because I really appreciate it, honestly.
Oh, no, you're more than welcome. Like to share
And
these things. Like to
yeah,
share.
and we absolutely should. We should shout about these things from the rooftops because the service that you provide there, it is amazing. It really is. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that's probably all we've got time for today. But thank you again, Emma. Really
Y-
appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review and come back next time. And we'll see you again on the PMI pod. Thank you very much.